1. e4, Herman Pilnik, a seasoned Argentine grandmaster, opens with the king's pawn, inviting a sharp struggle. Facing the 16-year-old prodigy Bobby Fischer, Pilnik knows he must be prepared for a tactical melee, as Fischer was already known for his uncompromising will to win with the black pieces. 1. c5, Fischer responds with his beloved Sicilian defense. Throughout his career, Fischer trusted the Sicilian implicitly to provide him with winning chances against 1. e4, seeking an unbalanced position from the very first move. 2. Nf3, White develops the knight to its most natural square, controlling the center and preparing the d4 push. This is the main road to the open Sicilian. 2. d6, Fischer plays flexibly, preventing e5 and keeping his options open for the Najdorf or dragon variations. 3. d4, Pilnik strikes in the center immediately. This is the only way to challenge the Sicilian seriously. White trades a central pawn for a flank pawn to open lines for his pieces and gain a spatial advantage. 3. cxd4, Black captures, opening the c-file for his rook, a long-term asset in the Sicilian endgame and creating the structural imbalance that defines the opening. For nxd4, the knight recaptures, taking a commanding post in the center. For nf6, Fischer develops with tempo, attacking the e4 pawn and forcing White to commit a piece to its defense. 5. nc3, Pilnik defends the pawn and develops his knight. 5. a6, the Najdorf variation. This was Fischer's signature opening. By controlling the b5 square, Black prevents White knights from jumping in and prepares his own queenside expansion. It is a high-stakes opening where Black delays development slightly to secure a perfect pawn structure. 6. b2, the Opasensky variation. Unlike the sharp 6, bg5 or the aggressive 6, bc4, this move is positional and quieter. Pilnik aims to complete his development and squeeze Black slowly, rather than entering the chaotic tactical lines Fischer excelled in. 6. e5, the thematic Najdorf thrust. Fischer challenges the center immediately. He accepts a backward pawn on d6 and a hole on d5, but in return, he kicks the white knight away and claims a fair share of the center for his pieces. 7. nb3, the knight retreats to safety. From here, it exerts pressure on the queenside but is momentarily out of the direct battle. 7. b7, Fischer develops his bishop calmly. He is preparing to castle and wants to keep his pieces flexible. 8. Pilnik secures his king. The game has settled into a positional maneuvering phase typical of this variation. 8. Fischer follows suit. Both kings are safe, and the middle game battle lines are drawn. 9. b3, a standard and strong developing move. The bishop controls the vital a7 g1 diagonal and prevents Black from easily playing d5. 9. b6, Fischer places his bishop on its most active square. It neutralizes White's control of the d5 hole and prepares to support the e5 break himself if the opportunity arises. 10. f3, Pilnik plays a solid, prophylactic move. He reinforces the e4 pawn and prevents any annoyance from ing4. However, this is somewhat passive compared to the more aggressive f4 push, suggesting Pilnik is playing for a draw or a long endgame. 10. qc7, Fischer connects his rooks and places the queen on the semi-open c-file. This is the standard square for the queen in the Sicilian, eyeing the e5 point and supporting the queenside. 11. qe1, a typical maneuver in this setup. The queen prepares to swing over to the kingside via g3 or h4, or simply to get out of the pin on the d-file if the rook comes to d1. 11. nbd7, Fischer completes his minor piece development. The knight heads toward b6 or c5, where it will pressure White's queenside. 12. rd1, Pilnik centralizes his rook, reinforcing the d-file. He is trying to prevent Fischer from executing the d5 break. 12. b5, Fischer launches his minority attack. This expansion creates space on the queenside, threatens to disturb the white knight with b4, and prepares a future fianchetto or rook lift. 13. rd2, a slightly mysterious move. Pilnik might be preparing to double rooks or simply waiting. It looks a bit passive, handing the initiative to the teenager. 13. NB6, the knight eyes the delicious c4 outpost. If allowed to land there, it will be a thorn in white's position. 14. QF2, Pilnik attacks the knight and indirectly eyes the b6 square. 14. Rab8, Fischer defends efficiently. He keeps the knight on b6 for now, maintaining the threat of jumping to c4. 15. BX-B6, a strategic concession. Pilnik decides to part with his bishop pair to eliminate the active black knight. In the Sicilian, the light-squared bishop is often white's best piece. Giving it up suggests Pilnik was uncomfortable with Fischer's queenside play and wanted to simplify. 15. RxB6, Fischer recaptures with the rook. This keeps his queen on the strong c7 square and prepares to swing the rook along the 6th rank for an attack or defense. 16. ND5, Pilnik plants a knight in the hole. It looks strong, but Fischer is ready to exchange it. 16. NXD5, Fischer removes the intruder immediately. 17. EXD5, Pilnik recaptures with the pawn. This changes the pawn structure significantly. The d-file closes, but the e-file opens. The d5 pawn restricts black's pieces but also blocks white's own bishop. 17. BD7, the bishop retreats, but it still has a great future on the queenside or slicing through the kingside later. 18. F4, Pilnik tries to generate activity on the kingside to counterbalance Fischer's play. He wants to open the f-file for his rook. 18. BF6, Fischer places his bishop on the long diagonal. This piece becomes a powerhouse, staring down at the white queenside. 19. C3, Pilnik reinforces his pawn chain, blunting the power of the black bishop. 19. RBB8, a calm prophylactic move. Fischer tucks the rook back to safety, ready to redeploy it to the open files. 20. Fx5, Pilnik resolves the tension in the center. 20. Bs5, Fischer recaptures with the bishop. Look at that piece. It is centralized, unopposed, and radiates power in all directions. Black has a comfortable game. 21. ND4, Pilnik blockades the center and tries to improve his remaining knight. 21. G6, Fischer plays carefully. He limits the white knight's squares and gives his king a bit of air. 22. A3, a necessary stopper to prevent b4. 22. A5, Fischer is relentless. He insists on opening the queenside lines, the A and B files, for his rooks. 23. KH1, Pilnik steps out of any potential checks on the G1 S7 diagonal. 23. B4, the breakthrough. Fischer opens the position to exploit his active bishops. 24. CXB4, Pilnik trades pawns to avoid getting cramped. 24. AXB4, the lines are open. The isolated A-pawn is a target, but white's pawn structure is also loosening. 25. RC2, Pilnik seizes the open C-file, attacking the queen. 25. QB6, Fischer finds the most active square. The queen pressures the D4 knight and keeps an eye on the B-file. 26. NC6, the knight jumps to a protected outpost. This looks threatening, forcing a crisis. 26. Bexa3, Fischer's cold-blooded calculation. He ignores the knight to create a dangerous passed A-pawn. He has foreseen the coming endgame. 27. EQXB6, Pilnik trades queens, hoping to reduce the pressure. 27. RxB6, recapturing with the rook. 28. Bexa3, white has a passed A-pawn, but so does black. Well, white has a passed A-pawn now, but it's isolated and weak. 28. RA8, Fischer immediately targets the weak pawn. His pieces are coordinating beautifully. 29. Nex5, Pilnik decides to eliminate the monster bishop on E5. 29. Dex5, Fischer recaptures. The position is simplified, but black's central pawn mass and active bishop give him the advantage. The D5 pawn is isolated and weak. 30. RC3, Pilnik defends the A-pawn. 30. RB2, the rook on the 7th. Fischer invades. In rook endgames, an active rook on the 7th rank is often worth a pawn. It restricts the white king and creates mating threats. 31. RC7, Pilnik tries to counterattack against the bishop. 31. Bf5, Fischer activates the bishop aggressively. He is not just defending, he is hunting the king. 32. G4, a fatal error. In time pressure or desperation, Pilnik weakens his king's shelter to kick the bishop. This creates fatal holes around the white monarch. 32. B4 plus, Fischer seizes the opportunity. The check forces the king into a corner. 33. Bf3, the only reasonable block. 33. Bd3, Fischer keeps the bishop. He refuses to trade. He sees a tactical web forming. 34. D6, Pilnik pushes his passed pawn, hoping to distract Fischer. It looks dangerous, but Fischer has calculated everything. 34. Rd8, calmly stopping the pawn. 35. 1 rupee, Pilnik attacks the e-pawn, trying to hold on. 35. Rxd6, Fischer captures the d-pawn. Now black is materially equal but positionally winning due to the exposed white king. 36. Rex 5, Pilnik grabs a pawn, but he opens the e-file for Fischer's rook. 36. Rf6, coordination. Fischer's rooks and bishop are now swarming the white king. The threat is Rxf3. 37. Re3, Pilnik defends the bishop. 37. Rxf3, the thunderclap. Fischer sacrifices the exchange to force a winning ending. This is a beautiful tactical shot based on a pin. 38. Rxf3, Pilnik must recapture. 38. B4, the point. The white rook on f3 is pinned to the king. It cannot move. 39. Rxf7, Pilnik tries a desperate counter tactic. He unpins his rook, partially, by checking or threatening the king? No, he attacks f7. But it doesn't work. 39. Rf2, the final nail. A spectacular crosspin or geometrical interference. The white rook on f3 is still pinned by the bishop. Now, the rook on f7 is also under attack and threatened with mate or heavy material loss. If white plays 40, kg1, then 40. Rxf7 wins. If white moves the f3 rook, the king dies. 40. Rf8 plus, a spite check. 40. Kg7, 0-1. Pilnik resigns. He is completely lost. If 41. Kg1 Rxf8, black is a piece up. An absolute masterpiece of endgame technique and tactical vision by the young Fischer.